What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart, while also looking over here at the altcoin market, looking at the recovery that has happened here throughout the weekend as we head into a new week, while at the same time tying in a little bit of macro here, looking at gold and the United States stock market, while also touching on a chart we haven't talked about in a little while, the NDXT, or the technology sector of the NASDAQ. We've definitely covered this in the past. Things have developed in here, so we'll touch on it. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, we'll take a peek over here at the XRP price chart, see if things are moving along appropriately, all while Bitcoin still just continues to hold the support that it hit last week. And, well, the thing that, of course, has me on the edge of my seat, are we seeing a recovery happen in here? We've been talking about what ABC structures look like for a couple of weeks now. So far, so good. So let's dive right on into the price action of what we have as we go into a new week. Bitcoin still continuing to hold the lows. Personally, I don't have an incredibly strong opinion on Bitcoin right now. As we covered last week, the on-chain behavior, price action, where the altcoin market is, these are all similar to as if we were in January to February of 2021. If we were going to try to find some similarities to a previous time in the past. So structurally, to say something's about to go YOLO moon, don't see anything very convincing of that right now. Important to also remember, once we finally did get our breakout in here, it did come with a catalyst at that time. Back then, that was when Tesla announced they'd added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. We are in earnings season right now in the United States stock market. We have had the Bitcoin ETFs released. We'll see if some type of narrative shows up. Price-wise, though, just if you were going to follow something similar, it would anticipate further continuations of consolidations and accumulations at the lows, even if you were going to follow something like that. So this one in particular, not the biggest interest to me. This one, of course, is the one that has my attention right now with the corrective structure of an ABC correction that took place in the last couple of weeks. ABC. We see these ABC corrections all the time in 2017. It was awesome to see something so clear show up here. That's a very optimistic sign to see us take out the height that happened there from the first liquidation that took place that Friday. Then we had another liquidation take place there on Saturday. And then now here we are. We stay stable for an entire week. And then now we're trying to push back up above Friday's liquidations in there. Now, just because we're getting up here doesn't mean everything's on the clear to go to Moon City. I talked about this a lot last week, right? If we show up here, you can still pull all the way back in here for another consolidation before working your way up. Alternatively, if we're even more bullish than that, right, then actually are we further along and then waiting for it to actually get it a little bit later. But while we did get the move up this week, that does produce some optimism to see that, whether we're just getting out a little bit or we're getting out a little bit more. We'll need to let some more price action develop in here. But so far, those bottom sniped entries are still safe. And we'll watch this continue to go throughout the week. Of course, nothing is really in the clear for bigger price action to emerge in the market until the crypto market can prove that it's in expansion. As we know, a couple weeks ago, rejected off the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. Now we're looking at recovery structures to come in here. The big thing to really start hooting and hollering and screaming and getting excited about is if we can take out the previous high that was set right back over there, because that was our expansion rejection right there. Get through there, and then the extreme excitement comes in the market. So we still haven't proven that yet, but things are looking optimistic so far, and it's nice to see this thing still continuing to go. I stepped away for the weekend. I set my stops below and went off and enjoyed the outsides for the whole weekend. Nice to see that it held throughout all of that, but so far, so good. As for XRP's price still continues to hold as well. It also able to take out those highs from the rebound off the liquidation that took place on Saturday. Price action still holding. Looking at it structurally, right? We've talked about this a lot in markets in the morning. Elliott wave structures, having to do the count on here. Are there any similarities to how this all happened back in 2016 before prices took off? What were the elements that were required for XRP to take off? One, you have to have expansion in the market. That always has to be the case. It does not do any type of independent run. So this is the mandatory requirement, always necessary for XRP's price to run. I've given presentations on this in front of audiences. I did it in Australia just last month. I showed every bull run that XRP has had. It has never had anything independent whatsoever. It is always correlated with what's going on with Bitcoin and with the altcoin market. So We need to see expansion actually come throughout the whole market. But have we seen something like this at a period like this where Bitcoin's back to its all-time high, price does something like this, shakes out the market, we end up taking it out, we set a new low? Yeah, it is. It's very similar to what happened back in 2016 before the prices ended up going. You can see that if we zoom out in here, right? We actually have a series of consecutive higher highs happening in here. Then boom, it takes it out. Where does price head back to? It heads right back down into here. What do we see happen for XRP? Exact same thing, right back down into there. And well, if I take it and just overlay it and show you that, you can see that same things happening in here, where prices come off the lows, waddle, and then slam right back in, just as we have right now. So nothing crazy in regards to deviations. But again, what has always been necessary is the escape from here. This is the thing that we were concerned about for the last couple of months, being back at the retracement levels, back at the 702. Price did reject up until this point, showing decent recovery structure happening in here. Doesn't mean we're in the clear yet. We still have more work that has to be done before we can get ready for something that can try to go for a break and get out of those retracement levels, send us into expansion, and send that thing on its way like it does with all expansions. So, okay, so far, we have seen this before in here, but waiting for the whole market to tell us we can get going. But always interesting to see these things happen in here, really at the same places, right? In 2016, Bitcoin was back at its all-time high when all of this is going on in here, where it comes back and swipes that low. And well, here we are again, back at the highs for Bitcoin, low gets swiped. And just like that time, at the historical lows of the XRP versus Bitcoin price chart, and at the exact same extremes as that time for the total market cap versus XRP, in which the total market cap is the most overvalued versus XRP in all of history, except for one very specific time point, January of 2017, which happens to be right there. As for Ethereum, of course, got all the way back to its retracement levels, waddling between 786, 702, 618, and the 50%. Nothing big to say about that right there. The big thing, of course, in the market has been that Bitcoin has been falling back at the same time as the stock market has. We've talked a lot about the NDXT, or the NASDAQ 100 technology sector. Been a couple of months since we've looked at this, since prices just stood here hovering on top. Things we talked a lot about. We'll be looking for these types of structures to start to emerge in here for the NDXT. Why would we look at the NDXT? I've actually written a lot about this over in the newsletters that I do over there on Substack, and I've talked about it a lot here on the YouTube channel. There's a very clear correlation between the NASDAQ 100 technology sector and Bitcoin. Whether the tops are coming in, falls are happening together, bottoms are coming in, recoveries are happening together, YOLO runs are happening together, or tops are coming in. The correlation is clearly there. Bitcoin acts much more like a tech stock than it does like a money. So, of course, looking for some supports to come in here for the NDXT. Again, another thing that we talk about a lot, keeping an eye on that. Is this a signal of we're making a topping structure here for the United States stock market? One of the things I'll be paying attention to when it comes to like the Dow Jones Industrial Average is something like this. Now, this has really been kind of the classic formula for multiple tops. We saw this style of a top happen for Bitcoin back in 2021, but also we saw the top start like this for the Dow back in 2007. From a narrative perspective, to kind of keep in mind that right here, this would be something I'll kind of be paying attention to see if the Fed follows the exact same formula that it did back in 2007. Essentially, what we were doing is we were in a paused period at this point. The market had gone on to set a new high for the Dow Jones. Finally, a really aggressive sell-off happened, and right there in the middle of August, when a big sell-off happened, the Fed finally started to cut the federal funds rate. We actually saw prices rise into brand new all-time highs during a Fed pause. It took the market selling off for the Fed to actually start cutting. Of course, screams of financial problems happening in the banking sector with the mortgage market. What happens? Market rallies back. It sets another new high in there. Essentially bought 2 more months of markets rallying after that. Then things rolled over. Just if we get that exact same thing, be prepared. We'll talk about that again, and we'll probably reference back to this discussion that this is what happened, is that there was the initial sell-off, a bounce, and then one more aggressive one. And in here was where the Fed ended up cutting. So if the Fed cuts in here, we'll be like, hey, wait a minute. This is exactly what we talked about, and it's exactly what happened back in 2007. The market still rallied. Like we've historically seen when cuts happen, that there's a short little rally, but it doesn't last forever. So that's kind of a side topic to talk about there, but something to keep in mind. That's where the Fed did end up cutting after the pause before the great financial crisis. It did not come during a Fed meeting. 1 week prior to that, the Fed had actually held a meeting and still continued to keep the federal funds rate paused. However, a week after that meeting, they came out and did an emergency initial rate cut. So it wasn't something that happened during a Federal Reserve FOMC meeting or conference or anything where the chairman is standing in front of the audience and asking and answering questions like we always live stream. It came in the form of an emergency rate cut. So I know this is a sidebar conversation, but something to keep in mind. We've now started to print that. It's no surprise to see Bitcoin has faltered during that time period. Crypto has faltered during that time period of the bigger fall coming there in the stock market. And while we may look at these things of the stock market topping and the Fed, really just trying to figure out how much time do we have left. The anticipation for 2024 has always been that there would be excitement in 2024, but that at some point it would be some big turnaround that would eventually end up happening. Right now, we're trying to solve that we can get through this and go into an expansion period of YOLO excitement in the crypto market before that comes. And if Brad Garlinghouse is correct, and if in 2024 we're going to see a $5 trillion market cap for the cryptocurrency market, well, what would something like that have to essentially look like? Like that. If we want to get it here in 2024, with how much time we have left for how the stock market is behaving. But to keep things pretty simple on where we're at, Bitcoin still continuing to hold in here as the altcoin market is showing some positive signs after the aggressive ABC right back into the bull flag. XRP still able to contain itself and hold itself up in a price structure we have seen similarly before when Bitcoin was back at its all-time high. The broader context of everything that we're looking at is to try to see if we can get this altcoin market and crypto market to expand. Essentially, we've gotten back to retracement levels. We struggled and faltered at the retracement levels at the same time that the stock market struggled and faltered. Now it's to see if we can actually recover and go into an expansion and have a pretty fun few months over here in the cryptocurrency market before we potentially run out of time over here in the stocks. Fortunately, gold has seen a little bit of a pullback happening in here, which is a necessary requirement if we look at any expansion historically. We've talked a lot about that inverse relationship between gold and between the cryptocurrency market. Gold broke out here right at the beginning of March in that first week of March. When did the crypto market stop? Right there at the second week of March. So a little bit of cooling off in gold is welcomed. Otherwise, Bitcoin holding, altcoin market, a positive weekend throughout there. This week, we'll be spending time to see if we start printing a structure more like this, or if we're actually in an actual escape to go find a support level on here later. We'll see how high this goes, and then we'll keep an eye on these levels to see if this one ends up holding, or if we do have to pull all the way back down to the lows in this accumulation that's happening in here. Otherwise, this was definitely something to look for. The last thing we wanted was to see that, while it would likely have been incredibly short-lived for a second bottoming, sentiment-wise, I don't think we wanted to see something like that. So great to see it hold. Great to see that still continue. But again, remember, just like we've been talking about for the last week, even in the event of getting that and getting above, that still, it doesn't mean we're in the clear to keep going yet, but provides more optimism that we're creating a reversal structure or a V bottom. So we'll keep checking on it throughout the week. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. We saw positive elements happen out there for the altcoin market, still continuing to recover throughout the weekend and into the start of this week. We're looking for some supports to come in there for the United States stock market. For XRP, we've seen this all before. And now we just really wait to see if we can get into expansion. And it could take several weeks for us to get really clear for that time to come, but we'll keep an eye on it every single day. So, all right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you're looking for something to do, of course, check out bcbacker.com if you'd like to watch over 40 videos and 11 hours of content by me. I also do write a newsletter over here. I just put one out recently looking at the trends that are emerging throughout the crypto market in regards to developer activity with contract deployment and how Base has really been taking off in there. I found this fascinating. And the trend is incredibly clear. This is where Coinbase is going to be pushing customers to participate in. So check this out over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. All of them do come with audio voiceovers that I personally do record. And if you do subscribe, you of course get access to all past newsletters as well. There are links down here in the description of this video to bcbacker.com and right there to the newsletter, blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, I hope that you had an absolutely wonderful weekend. We had positive action in the market. Hopefully we can continue it through this week. But all right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I create new content or when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.